just thought I'd update you with a few numbers. This is the 75th episode of Man Listening in 75 weeks. We have never missed a download. We have 29,000 plus downloads in 26 countries on 6 continents. Come on, Antarctica. Come on, penguins. Just one of you needs to just tap your way into the download. Thank you. Thank you. This is tremendously meaningful. We're not quitting now. I have a great belief in the stories of powerful women who bounce back. You're about to hear another one.
My favorite thing that I hear is, how do I deal with blank? And I think that anything that you're dealing with is optional.
What is the sound of one man listening? This is Man Listening, a fresh podcast featuring the stories of strong women who bounce back. Man Listening, because every woman deserves to be heard.
I'm Stuart Watson, and welcome to Man Listening. A wonderful publicist named Marlena Brown at Penguin Random House pitched me on a wonderful new book by a woman named Nedra Glover Tawwab. And the book is Set Boundaries, Find Peace, which is a wonderful theme for anyone who's ever lived around people with addiction. Setting those bright line boundaries can bring you so much peace of mind. The author, Nedra Glover Tawwab, turns out to be our neighbor right here in Charlotte. I should have just gone over and talked to her. But I make it a point of being, not reading anything, just to approach it fresh, which is for better and for worse, you'll see. So without further ado, my neighbor, Nedra. Where were you born?
I was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Hospital or home?
Hospital.
For your mother, your number what of how many?
Oh, 2.
You're the second?
Mm-hmm.
You're the baby?
I am the baby.
Brother or sister?
Sister.
How much older?
6 years.
Did she pick on you or love on you?
Why did you say she picked on me? We were in such different age brackets. She parented me, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? And when you were a little girl, like 2 years old, your mom would have said, Nedra was so what?
Spunky, maybe?
What did that mean?
I don't know. I had a lot of personality, a lot of pizzazz. I was a very entertaining kid.
So did you put on a show?
Yes, I did put on a show. I started singing in the choir when I was like 3 years old.
Now, do you
Oh.
still sing?
I don't. I don't. Not unless it's for fun, like to the radio or something. I went to a performing arts high school and it just took the singing out of me. Gosh, it was probably like 2 to 3 choirs I was in at the time. So it was just like so much performance. And once I could optionally not perform, I stopped.
Where was the performing high school?
It was in Detroit. It's Detroit School of Performing Arts.
And what kinds of performances would you do? Were these musicals? Was this?
Not musicals, choirs. So we would be in state competitions and we would, sing at different things around the city and other cities. So there was a gospel choir, there was just a regular, I don't even remember what it was called, like a chorus choir. Yeah, so it was a lot of music, and I like music. I do. So there was a lot of theoretical training. So how to read music, how to, play music and those sorts of things. So it was really fun. Like I said, I started singing when I was like 3 and in elementary school. I learned how to play trombone. So I knew a little bit about reading music, which helped me get into this performing arts high school because I was able to, go to the audition and say, I know how to read music from my trombone stuff.
What kind of pieces would you all do for a competitive?
This is so funny. I sing vocal warm-ups to my daughter at night, and it's most of the vocal warm-ups were about like, one is like about killing bugs before you go to bed, which is probably not good to sing, but she likes it.
Give me
Uh,
a sample. I need to hear that.
oh, good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. If they do,
You're not
I'm
singing.
not singing.
Come
No,
on. Come on. That's not, I'm not
perform anymore. What are some other songs? I can't even think of any. I think I've kind of dismissed that part of my life. Like it was so much singing that now I'm like, I don't want to sing anymore. So I don't even remember all those songs. I have to ask some of my classmates that I keep in contact with, like, name 5 songs we used to have to sing. Because I don't remember one song. So that would be fun to even
okay.
remember one.
In the shower or alone in the car do you sing?
Years ago, I would say shower, but now I am so locked in on podcasts, audiobooks that I would have to say neither at this point. But it used to very much be in the shower. I would listen to music in the shower, but now I have transformed into more of a book person.
What's on your audiobook right now? What are you listening to?
Right now, I'm listening to Four Winds. That's a book by Kristen Hanna. This is the first book I've ever read by her. It's a novel about the Dust Bowl. I think it's the Dust Bowl that happened during the Great Depression in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. And it follows a family as they are migrating to California to get away from several years of dust storms. It is really, really interesting. I had no idea about these dust storms that cause like dust pneumonia and all of this stuff. So it's really exciting to learn about history in an entertaining way because I am not interested if it's not within a novel. So it's good to be able to like, oh, this is actually true. And I could Wikipedia and it's like, yeah, oh, okay, these are the facts. So this is good. And I get a little, story about a family with it. So that works. So that's what I'm listening to right now. But I'm also listening to Unwinding Anxiety. And it's a really good book about using some different approaches moving through anxiety. I think a lot of what we use is, meditate and, all these different things. But this book has, like rethinking how you think about anxiety. So it's a pretty good book. Typically with books, I listen to a few at a time and I'm actually physically reading. I have like a whole book buffet going on. And what I love about reading multiple books at one time is I don't have to commit to anything. It's like, I don't feel like listening or reading this. And then it's like I can read something fun or I can read something deep or I can read, a novel. So I like kind of moving between things.
I'm going to ask a question. I hope it's not insulting. Is Boundaries your first book?
It is my first book. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
After a lifetime as a reader, now you have your own.
I know. How cool is that? I'm very excited to be able to have a book and having to read it, like I did the audio version of it. And of course, like during the revision phase, like rereading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wrote a book. Like this is crazy. Like getting my book in hand, like, oh my gosh, I wrote a book. Like, yeah, I love it.
What
Mm.
moved you to get beyond just talking about it or concept to actually sitting down and writing?
I think that this is my 14th year being a therapist. And so much of what I have in the book is already a lot of stuff that I talk about. Like, even my clients who have now read the book, they're like, I know you've said this to me. So, like, it's so much stuff that, I've sort of mentioned in therapy over the years as a helpful way to move through difficult conversations or to move through difficult relationships that it felt very natural to just write it down. It was like getting something out of your head more than writing a book. It was just like, oh, this is my thought about this thing. It was like answering a question that you already know the answer to.
Yeah. What kind of therapy do you do?
Relationships mostly. And a lot of times people think of that as like, oh, couples therapy. Well, not necessarily. Most of my work is with individuals, but it's with individuals who are having relationship issues with work, with family, with partners, with friends, all sorts of things, because we are constantly in relationship with people, and our biggest relationship is with ourselves.
How did you learn how to listen? I'm trying to learn how to listen. People listen for different things. If you talk to an MD, they're going to listen for different things than you will as a therapist. How did you learn how?
Always been an observer. I like to just watch and kind of figure it out, and then I'll talk a lot. I've always been an observer, and I would say pretty easy to talk to. I don't remember a time when people didn't open up to me and just share stuff. And, even as a kid, having an older sibling, and, a lot of my cousins and stuff were much older than me. And so I think my conversation skills were probably a little mature because I had to keep up with them. And so it was like I'm listening to these conversations, couldn't comprehend it, but I'm like, okay, so he kissed you on the bus? What is that? So I'm like
He kissed
figuring,
you on the bus, BUS?
yes,
Okay, I
yes,
just want to make sure
BUS.
he kissed you
Yes.
on the bus, on the BUS.
Yeah,
Okay. The
yes.
the
While you were
audio
on the
skipped
bus.
there, right, while you were
Okay.
on the bus. Okay.
Yes. Just thinking about like hearing people talk and having to interpret it, and at some point like asking them questions. Like I've always really enjoyed asking questions, and getting that, "Why you ask me that?" It's like it's like, I don't know, it just came in my head. Will you tell me the answer? So
Wow.
yeah, I would say like being the youngest certainly helped me learn to be a better listener, because what am I talking about to all of these people who are older than me?
Well, that sounds, first off, intuitive, that you have a natural intuitive sense to ask these things, curious, intuitive, but also people don't open up to people they think are judging them. And so you're
Hmm.
probably like, somebody knows I can trust Nedra with this piece of information. She's not going to get all judgy.
Hmm.
So congratulations on that. That's
Yeah, I've had some friends tell me some things where they're like, "I'm just telling you because I know you won't judge me." And I'm like, "Yeah, usually when people are doing things that they would be judged for, they're aware they're doing a bad thing. Like you don't have to tell a person who's cheating, stealing, lying that they're doing something bad. Like they're so aware of it." And we don't need to like make them feel worse. That's never a strategy that's effective. Like, oh, you did that? Let me make you feel really bad about yourself. That'll really get you to change. No, it won't. It won't get people to change.
we've tried the blame and shame strategy in this culture for quite some time now.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Now tell the truth, Nedra. Are there clients that they will say something? You actually are judging them, but you have to like maintain the face. You have to maintain, oh,
I
that's
look at my eyes right now. I never judge my clients.
this is an audio podcast.
Was
People will have
that
to
recorded?
yes.
Is that on the record?
Okay, take it out of the professional sphere. Are there ever times in which your friend will tell you something and you're like, you totally want to tell them what to do, but you're like, I cannot tell this friend what to do, but oh my God, do I have an opinion on that?
Absolutely. And I've learned that the hard way, that Even when you tell people what to do, you have to be very careful because if they don't listen, I have found myself getting really upset because it was great advice.
I could have saved you.
I could have saved you. And sometimes people get it eventually. What I've learned is telling people what to do is not always effective because they're not ready to do it. If they were ready to do it, they would already know what to do.
That's
And so
brilliant.
because they're like, I don't know what to do, it's like, okay, you aren't ready to do anything. That's what that means. Because if you were ready to do something, if you were ready to leave this bad relationship, you would be saying, I'm leaving this bad relationship. And because you're not saying that, I believe that you're not ready to leave the relationship, and that's why you're in this stuck place. And it's challenging to see people being stuck when you think you have a solution or something that you could say that would be really helpful. But we can't save people from choices that they're not ready to make yet.
Amen. Isn't that the whole message of your book?
Yeah, and boundaries, right? I think a really good boundary to have in relationship is not telling people what to do with their lives because they have the power to decide. And sometimes people do things that we didn't even think of that's better for them than we thought it would be.
If you let them figure it out.
If you let them figure it out, it's a very powerful thing. As a therapist, we're constantly trained, don't give people the answers. Now, sometimes, I will direct people if it is, a situation where they are repeating a pattern, because sometimes people will say, oh, should I take him back? Do you want the same outcome? It's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you want the same outcome of breaking up in 2 more months, then you can take him back. And when you say it like that, they're like, oh, I don't want that. Okay, then don't take them back.
How do you get people to recognize that when they're getting ready to get back in relationship with someone who's exactly like the old one?
Yes, it's true. Some of us have a type, and our type is unavailable, or our type is unstable or dysfunctional. And it's really unfortunate to
Or
see.
straight up abusive?
Or abusive. Yes, sometimes our type is abusive. And it's very hard to point that out to people who can't see it. And I think the first step is helping people understand the traits. Because you're right, you can go and pick a whole different person, put them in a different outfit, different career, different city. They'll have all these little different micro habits, so they'll seem a little different, but at the core, the personality is the same. So the biggest work is helping them to understand the tendencies and characteristics and react to the red flags sooner. Because what happens is when you have that codependent history and you have that enmeshed history, when these things come up, you don't necessarily recognize them. And if you do, you don't know how to respond to them properly. And so you continue trying to see if this person are they really codependent? So you have to teach people to trust their voice. Like if you notice, like 5 of these things, that you are correct. You don't have to wait for confirmation. You have the confirmation, you think it, that is enough. You don't have to keep going with red flags. One is enough, but 2, 3, 4, 5, which you get in a lot of these situations, that is enough to respond in a way that is different. And we really have to learn to weed through people differently, because when you come from a history of not having healthy relationships, the problem is you stay too long. So, how do we help you leave early? I mean, 1 week, 1 month before it gets to the point of divorcing someone or, being in this relationship with them for 10 years or having this terrible friend for 20 years. How do we get to the point of recognizing these behaviors month one, year one, and really responding to those in a way that is more in line with what you want? Because we all meet people who have the potential to be unhealthy for us. It's not that I don't meet the people, it's just I don't build relationships with them. I notice it and I'm like, oh, okay, no, thank you. But I meet those people too. It's like when people are dating and they're like, oh, there are so many terrible people. There are some good ones too. It's everybody meets terrible people while dating. We all have dating stories of, it doesn't mean that the good ones don't exist. But if you keep really dating the people who are terrible for you for 4 years and that sort of thing, then yeah, that is, that's something to look at. But we all meet the same people, and sometimes I've been in situations where we have met the same people in a group setting and I won't go any further with this friendship or this, whatever interaction. And there are people who choose to and they suffer the consequences.
Are women more likely, safe to say, to stick around and put up with this shit again and again than men are? Just say yes.
I don't want to.
Why are you resisting this?
I'm
Because
trying to think of a reason that it's not true.
right. Okay, let's just play with this for a minute, whether it's true or not. I'll just put it to you this way. In the rooms of substance use disorder recovery,
Mhm,
addicted to a drug, right?
mhm,
60 to 80% men. In the rooms of codependents, families, 60, probably more like 80% women
mm.
in my experience. And that's almost 30 years. So you have this dynamic where you would think that all the drug addicts are men and all the codependents. Not true. That's just who's seeking help, right? But there
Mm.
does seem to be a little traditional Western dynamic going on here. Why is that?
Men are more willing to set boundaries. Men are more willing to have difficult, assertive conversations. When women are assertive, they are labeled as mean, they're labeled as cold, they're labeled as angry, all sorts of things, because the mindset is you are supposed to nurture people always. Get your baby doll, play with it, feed your baby, carry your baby with, even if a little 3-year-old drops your baby, you're not taking care of your baby. There is this pressure to be taking care of something, and that something is typically people. And so it is an ingrained process of caring for people. And when you don't want to care for people, it's like, "Oh, you're not helping them. They need your help." And all help is not helpful. I think what we do that's helpful, we really see people changing, we see their lives improving. When we are helping and they're continuing to have the same issues, that would be enabling, right? It's not helping people because nothing is improving with them. And so there needs to be a restructuring around how we help people and not helping people to our detriment, because often women are putting themselves in situations where they are now mentally impacted, physically exhausted, burnt out, frustrated, and stressed because they are giving so much in ways that they really can't afford to do. It is a huge devastation. You're right. There are tons of books geared towards women about burnout, how to balance this, how to do all these things. And I don't see any books saying, men, how to deal with work life balance. Men, how to help your codependent. Yeah, it's no books like that because
That's because the men are
really
sucking it up, Nedra. That's because the men are out there just sucking it up. It's not because they don't need help. It's because they won't ask for it.
that too. That
Do you have
too.
any male clients? What's your
I
ratio?
do.
What's your ratio?
Oh, I say about 80, 90% women, 10%
Is that
men.
because you're a woman or is it because men aren't? Like my therapist is a woman, but I think women are far more likely to ask for help
Hmm.
because they see that they need it. And uh, it's a problem.
Yeah, my work with men is a lot of conditioning around getting them to talk.
About
you know,
something that's meaningful.
about something that's meaningful. And we know this. Men typically talk about achievement, they talk about sports, they talk about hobbies and those sorts of things. And when you get women together, it is like a therapy session because they're talking about their feelings and all of these things. There's this emotional connection that happens in female to female relationships that doesn't happen with men.
And you, my friend, get to see those kind of breakthroughs. I'm really jealous of the kind of, because you do get to see that happen. You get them to sit there on the couch or the chair or whatever, on the Zoom, and you get to
Yeah.
see those epiphanies.
Yeah.
That must
That's the
be
best
very,
part of the job. Yesterday, I was talking to a client and they were telling me about how they're being more emotionally expressive with the primary people in their life. And this is somebody who expressed nothing. And so to see this, I was like, oh my gosh, look at therapy. Therapy has brought you a mighty long way. And it is a beautiful thing to watch people becoming this version of themselves that they didn't know was possible. It feels really good to be able to say to people, I felt this, or and it seems so simple, right? To just acknowledge like, I'm really anxious and I don't want to do that. But so many people don't do it. They'll say things like, no, no, I don't want to, or I don't care. That's not my thing. But to just throw that word in of I'm really anxious. And so I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway because I know that's just me trying to avoid this anxiety. It's like, who are you to speak like that? It's like, oh my God. And so I think that is one of the wonderful things about therapy to see how the conversations with people turn into these life changing changes that have these like huge impact on not just them but the other people in their lives because they're getting this person who's more emotionally expressive, who understands intimacy, who can let them know very directly, no, I don't like this and it doesn't work for me. So it's an amazing thing to watch people become more of who they want to be.
I have a title for your next book, and you're welcome to it if you want to. But I want you to answer this question: how to set a very firm and clear boundary without coming off as a bitch. How do you set a very firm and clear boundary without being mean about it? I'm not being mean about it. I'm just telling you, if this happens one more time, I'm out.
I would not title my book that just
Right.
because, let me tell you why. We cannot control anyone's perception of what we're saying. And so often we try to do that, particularly with boundaries. The question I get most is, how do I not feel guilty for setting the boundary? How do I set a boundary in a nice way? You can set a boundary in a nice way. You can be very kind and gentle, and you can invite someone to dinner, cook their favorite meal, massage their feet, and then say to them, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And they can still be mad about it. Like you've done all of the nicest things that you can think of, but yet just you ending that relationship could make you a terrible person for them. So it's not always about the delivery, but the delivery is very important. You do want to be kind and you do want to be as nice as possible. But even with doing that, you cannot save people from whatever reaction they're going to have. And you just have to say it when it comes to, the other day I was setting a boundary with someone and I thought about it for 24 hours before I responded. I was like, I'm going to think about this. I'm going to intentionally think about this. And I thought about all these things to say. And what I kept coming back to was, no, that's the thing to say. That's just it. I wanted to give a whole sentence. No, because, or no, I don't think that would, and it's like, no, like that's the easiest way to say that. But even saying that, that could be seen as mean. All I said was no.
What is a boundary? Tell me a little story. What is a boundary?
So a boundary is a statement or a behavioral cue that keeps you safe and comfortable in your relationships. For example, not doing things that you're uncomfortable with for people. So if someone says, "Hey, I'm coming into town, can you pick me up from the airport?" and you have something else scheduled around that time that you don't want to reschedule, the boundary would be telling them no. A lot of times, what we tend to do is reschedule our stuff and, really bend ourselves into these situations that we later regret. Now, if it's no issue for you to reschedule it, go ahead. You don't have to set a boundary. But if you know that you're going to feel a way about having to do this unplanned task, you can say no.
I hear people all the time say, I have to pick up so and so at 5 a.m. I have
Mm,
to blank. I'm
hmm
like, why do you
No,
have
you
to?
don't. Yep.
Oh, but if I do that, then she's going to talk
hmm
trash about me. She's going to think less of me. I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah, we think we have to do a lot of things. My favorite thing that I hear is, how do I deal with blank? And I think that anything that you're dealing with is optional.
Oh,
How
that's
do I
powerful.
Yeah, it deal with means option to me. Like, oh, choice. So you actually don't have to deal with this unless you want to. And I guess, how do you deal with someone who's chronically late? You can continue to allow them to be late. You can tell them there's lots of things that you do, but know that what you're doing is a choice. You're not powerless. Like, you have some options here. You don't have to deal with people um disrespecting you or abusing you. How do I deal with my mother-in-law who blanks? It's like, you have to exercise your choices, and dealing with her is a choice. What do you want to do about how you deal with her?
Wow. And you could say, I think you'll be more comfortable in a hotel when you come to
Mm,
town.
hmm that might be a great way to deal with her. Yeah. But, the perception of what people would think. What would she, well, she'll get so upset. You're already upset. You're already upset even thinking about it.
I'm going to say a phrase and I want you to help me deconstruct it because a lot of people don't know I didn't know what codependent meant. And then all of a sudden I heard this phrase that I heard all the time growing up in my own household. You help me deconstruct this. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. You ever hear that?
I have heard that. Everyone has to make mama happy.
And mama feels like she's got to make everybody happy. And I mean, if the kids are happy and the husband's happy, then she'll move out to the in-laws and the cousins and everybody else. A lot of times mama has the compulsive need to make everybody happy and she's driving herself crazy doing that. I think that is far more common than the mother who actually demands that everybody appease her. I think it's far more common in our culture that women are driving themselves crazy trying to make everybody nice and happy and content.
Oh, yeah. I've seen somebody once ordering takeout for their family, and they asked everybody what they wanted, and it was like four different meals, and this person was going to go to these four different restaurants. And I thought, what would be easier is to say, I'm going to Domino's. What do you want on your pizza? Or even, I'm going to Domino's. I'm getting a pepperoni pizza and a cheese pizza. See you in 10 minutes. But to give everyone the option of, okay, so you want seafood, you want Domino's, you want Subway, it was just like, this is the epitome of codependency, to please everybody in this situation. And then I thought, what are you eating? It's like, so are you going to go to a fifth place? Are you going to get some from one of these places? Like, this is a lot. And this is a continuous cycle of making sure that everybody is happy around you, because we are not responsible for another person's emotional expression. And we certainly cannot control what they do with their lives, even adult children. And I know for many parents, that has to do with guilt. Perhaps they did something, didn't do something enough, or some sort of thing like that. And again, You have to deprogram them because people make their own choices. And it could be because of your parenting, or it could not be because people decide what they want to do. And you have very little to do with the decisions that they're making today. They could have decided to do a lot of other things, and what they're doing has nothing to do with you today. And so there has to be some autonomy in your belief that you are not responsible for them as they are.
Okay. Biggest misconception about therapy as a process that keeps people from going to therapy?
Many people think that the therapist will make you talk about your childhood, or that you have to have some trauma or horrific life problem to talk to a therapist.
And you don't.
You don't. The problem is being human. That is the problem. Just traffic today could be the problem. So many things can be an issue, and we have to get past this spirit of waiting until we have a really big problem to address things, because once we have a really big problem, we have a crisis. And behind every crisis is a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't pay attention to. And so, if you want to not be in crisis mode, not be in this, big problem mode, you really have to address the everydayness of stress, of frustration, which are normal things. I love when people go to therapy just to have a person to talk to. I do not think it's for problems only. It can be if that's what you need it for, but everyone can go to therapy just to talk about things. You'll be surprised what comes up. Sometimes my clients will say, I don't have anything to talk about today. Those are the best sessions because there's always something to talk about. Even if you start talking about something you saw on TV, it turns into a conversation. It was like, how did we get here? I was like, I don't know. It's my little trickery as a therapist. I just pull you back into yourself with everything you're talking about because you're only talking about things that relate to you.
What do I get from coming and talking to Nedra that I will not get from going to the hairdresser and saying the same things?
I love that. So the hairdresser is a wonderful human being who is not trained to help you with your mental health. Therapists have techniques, we have theories that will get you to the space of healing and growth in a very different way than maybe a hairstylist would, but they can get you to a place of beauty. And so really trusting the expert. If you need, tax advice, you go to an accountant. If you need, like going to the expert and not to just another human being sometimes is really helpful because, sometimes people don't have the tools. Even the hairstylist, she may not have the tools to help you get through this particular thing. So it's important to talk to the person who can very directly help you.
Ditto for bartenders and men.
True.
If you and I get struck by lightning today and this tape is the only thing that remains, what is your legacy to this point today? What is your gift?
My gift has been offering therapeutic solutions in a very sensible way that people feel comfortable applying them because they're not overwhelming. They're not jargon heavy. They are like, oh, I could just say this to this person just like this. Like, yes, you can just tell them, no, I don't want to go to the party. That's it. I make it super simple. And I love that I've been able to do that in a way that people can understand.
I am so grateful to you for your time and for this book. I saw it, a signed copy at Park Road Books the other day on the top shelf. You're out there doing the deal. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Nedra Glover Tawwab's book is called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. It's available wherever better books are sold, including my favorite bookshop, Park Road Books. And I saw it there. They have signed copies. Enjoy. I know I did.
Man Listening is a production of Unmediated LLC in cooperation with the Queen City Podcast Network and Balto Creative Media. Allison Andrews at Andrews Creative and Rachel Clapp Miller are developmental producers. Sally Higgins at Higgins & Owens tries to keep us legal. Our music is A Day at the Park by the group Pictures of the Floating World. Your announcer is Catherine Smith. That's me. Please go to our Patreon page. You'll find us at patreon.com. Look for Man Listening, one word, no spaces. We hope you'll join us by becoming a member. A small investment can raise up the conversation. If you want exclusive member merch, like a t-shirt, we can arrange that too.
A huge shout out and thank you as we pass 75 episodes and churn past 30,000 downloads to everyone who has supported Man Listening from the very beginning. It means the world. Thanks.
Don't forget to support us at Patreon. We believe one voice can change the conversation. Click the subscribe button, and next week you'll hear.
But they're there every day practicing their hearts out because mentally, physically, it makes them a stronger person. That's what I believe.
That's next week on Man Listening. Thanks.